From the Daily Reporter, this is Ethan Duran. Welcome to Brews and Blueprints, a podcast about construction and development across Wisconsin. Hello, I'm Ethan Duran of the Daily Reporter, and this is the Brews and Blueprints podcast. I'm here with Lindsay Blumer, the president and CEO of WRTP Big Step, a workforce intermediary based in Milwaukee. Recently, the White House chose WRTP Big Step to be an anchor organization for construction coordination and job training amid an influx of federal investment. President Joe Biden made the announcement during a trip to Milwaukee, where he named the city a workforce hub. Thanks for being on the podcast, Lindsay.
Thanks for having me.
Tell me a little bit about WRTP Big Step. What are the organization's main functions and goals?
So WRTP Big Step, which stands for Wisconsin Regional Training Partnership, Building Industry Group Skilled Trades Employment Program, WRTP Big Step for short, is a nationally recognized workforce intermediary. We serve the state of Wisconsin, but we are headquartered in Milwaukee and the surrounding area, and we provide customized solutions to connect employers with skilled workers. We provide those equitable career pathways for those workers, including pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship readiness activities. And we're particularly focused on construction, manufacturing, clean energy, transportation, logistics, and broadband expansion sectors to ensure that we can meet the demands of the workforce and the labor market of tomorrow.
So given this recent announcement of being the anchor group for coordination and job training in the region, what is WRTP Big Step doing right now to take initiative and get ahead of the curve when it comes to those tasks?
So there's a lot of work to be done. Being designated the anchor institution means that we're working in partnership with several players because it will take all of us in Milwaukee to ensure we can meet the demands of a couple of things. First, replacing all lead service lines within 10 years, which is an ambitious goal, but must be done for the safety of our community. And then a lot of construction and transportation, heavy highway construction work to redevelop 6th Street, to think about how we might improve communities that 40, 50 years ago had been separated by highways. And so reconnecting communities, expansion of our highway system, our interstate system, and then the lead service lines are really our first priority. That will, of course, come with additional construction projects around all of these other projects. So when we talk about building that workforce, what we're doing right now is aligning all of our partners as the anchor. So ensuring that we have community-based organizations who can help do outreach, who can help work within the communities and draw people to certified pre-apprenticeship training programs that we offer here at WRTP Big Step, or help connect them if they're currently working in these industries, connect them with our union partners to ensure that they have good pay, good wages, and good benefits. We're also working with all of our elected officials to offer outreach sessions in each aldermanic district as well, so that everyone understands how we're doing this in concert and together and collaboratively. And then, of course, working with our contractors and our employers to ensure that they also, we can also gauge what kind of workforce they need, what skills are in demand, and what kind of opportunities will be available now, but also in the future, so we can plan the cadence of those training opportunities. And then, of course, we're also planning already for the end of 2025 to share our preliminary results of how we're doing as part of the Workforce Hub Network with the White House.
What does it mean when we call Milwaukee a workforce hub?
So in the truest sense of the term, the White House did designate certain cities workforce hubs as part of the Investment in America's Future initiative, which is part of the over $1 trillion investment in infrastructure redevelopment in the United States. These workforce hubs have shown great potential, that we are able to meet the demands. We have the partners ready, and that additional investment has proven that we will be able to accelerate the infrastructure projects in these communities, and that we can employ and include a diverse community, including women, people of color, those who are differently abled, veterans, everyone, so that we can accomplish these goals. So that's what it means to be designated a workforce hub. What it means here in Milwaukee is that we have an incredible opportunity to demonstrate that our model here works, it's a scalable model. We can show that being collaborative to get things done is vitally important. So what it means for us right now in terms of the Workforce Hub is we've been able to collaborate with the city, with the county, with our employers and contractors, our contractor associations, with our community-based organization groups, a lot of nonprofits, and with private local philanthropy as well, so that we can generate the workforce, which will be needed to accomplish the projects, which will in turn make our communities safer and make our communities healthier.
That brings up a few good points I was thinking about. Do you want to dive a little bit into the investment that the federal government is offering? I know this $1 trillion sum is spread out across the United States, but I know Wisconsin is making use of a good chunk of it as well.
Yes. So as part of President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, infrastructure projects totaling nearly $100 million are in the works across the city of Milwaukee. And so this includes that lead service line replacement that we discussed. It also includes ensuring that the city is training the skilled workers needed for construction project, heavy highway construction projects, and that lead service line replacement. All of this also has some tangential effects on housing, affordable housing, on childcare, transportation, right? As we organize all these projects, those projects will also be integral to the success of building up infrastructure. So that investment has allowed us to think broadly about not only how efficiently and effectively we can accomplish these projects, but how we can bring more stakeholders into the process so that we can create a really impactful and synergistic effect with the $100+ million specifically for Milwaukee infrastructure.
Now, I know the lead pipe replacement is on a 10-year deadline specifically, but what sort of timeline are you working on? How soon do you want to accomplish all of these goals, and how do you feel about the momentum we're at right now?
So right now it's a bit difficult to determine what are the metrics and in what timeline or what cadence we need to accomplish those. With the deadline of specifically lead service line replacement within a decade, within 10 years, with that ambitious goal, we do know we need to align all partners. And the city has done a great job, Department of Public Works and others have done a really good job of making sure our bids and making sure the contractors and making sure that residents understand what is currently happening, because there is currently lead service lines being replaced, but what that will mean in terms of increasing the speed of that replacement. So on the workforce side, what we're doing right now, in addition to all the outreach we're doing and the collaboration and convening of the stakeholders, is we're trying to put those metrics in place. What does it look like? And really working backwards from that decade mark and saying, okay, then how many folks do we need at this point? And then at this point, where would those projects be? Where would those projects be in the pipeline? So what does that mean for the workforce? What does that mean for then crosswalking folks who perhaps are gaining additional skills throughout this process? And it's not just at 10 years, we're going to say, great, the work is accomplished, everyone can go home. It's now we're going to have additional new projects, right? And we're going to have the opportunity to have new technologies, most likely, that will be implemented. And so how do we continue to upskill and crosswalk folks with that foundational level of knowledge who will now be experts after 10 years into their next occupations and careers and professions?
When we talk about crosswalking, is that training across different disciplines in the trades?
Yes. So we use that term to mean that we don't offer a certified pre-apprenticeship in just lead service line replacement or just weatherization or anything like that. We offer a multi-trade, multi-skill curriculum because eventually we know, and we hope, because it has to be done, that all lead service lines will be replaced. And it would do a disservice to folks if you were only trained in that specific thing. Similarly with broadband expansion, we know eventually all of the locates will be accomplished. We know eventually all the directional boring will be accomplished, but those skills can be used in a variety of other ways. They can be used in water reclamation, water quality. It could be used in heavy highway construction, right? So we want to make sure that folks are able to not only have access to upskilling, but understand how those skills apply across a variety of projects and a variety of sectors that will build that generational wealth.
When you talk to partners about specific skills or trades that are in demand right now, especially with this huge undertaking with lead pipe work, heavy highway, and more, what are some of the different trades or careers that are in demand right now?
So a recent study found that in Wisconsin, of all of the occupations that will be created through these infrastructure investments from the federal government, 55% of those occupations, those jobs, will not require a bachelor's degree. So that means we're really focused on certified pre-apprenticeship to union registered apprenticeship and beyond, right? We know that this is a gold standard for ensuring that folks are safe, they're skilled, they're trained, and that they have access to good jobs. So some of those in-demand professions are construction, and really it would be a disservice to say any one trade is more in demand than another, because as we know with any holistic project, whether it's lead service line replacement, heavy highway construction, stick build construction, fabrication, any of that, it requires all of those trades to ensure that that project is done safely and it's done on time and on budget. So really, I would say the construction field in general is growing. Studies are showing that it continues to grow and jobs are added each quarter. Even advanced manufacturing and some of our industrial type of construction. So the building of warehouses, but then within, whether it's millwrights or others like that, those are in demand skills as well as we contribute to a more technology focused economy. And so I would hesitate to say there's any one that's more in demand than other, because it is going to be a huge collaborative effort to ensure that we can do all of these projects.
Tell me a little bit about how the organization helps open up these workforce opportunities that come with this federal investment, especially. But I guess the word would be non-traditional roles as well. How do you get more women and people of color into these trades positions and in construction jobs that support families for a long time?
So it takes a village, to put it in a global way. But truly, when we get down to what are the activities and initiatives necessary, first is exposure. We know that youth will start deselecting careers by the 5th grade if they don't see themselves represented in them. So we know that we need to assist youth in understanding that these opportunities are available. They are for everybody, and that you will be integral to building the next skyline, the additions, the safety of Milwaukee. So part of that is our current journey workers, our current workforce, mentoring youth, working in schools to do presentations. We do a summer trades academy to ensure that youth get exposure to all trades. And then they have the option to go on right from there to do their certified pre-apprenticeship program. So we have shortened the length of time it takes to enroll folks into that. And we can do that exposure and then offer training opportunities right then and there when folks are excited, when it does resonate with them, they've seen what is possible. We also work in collaboration with Empower. We work in collaboration with the building trades, with LACLA, with Black union workers as well, to ensure that we are communicating and on the same page, so that our community isn't getting different messages from different people. And then on the contractor and employer side, right, the folks who have the jobs and are looking for workers, we're offering customized training opportunities. We had a great success at the Baird Center with Gil Bain in a pilot program and with Employ Milwaukee, a pilot program to offer customized cohort training for the skills necessary for that project at the time they needed them. And it was wildly successful, so that we were able, again, to shorten that timeline of exposure to then training and then to work. And so that's going to help help that runway, that equitable career pathway, so that runway is then also supported. We also know that with a historically low unemployment rates currently in Wisconsin. We do know there is still pockets of Milwaukee that have 15 to 17% unemployment. And so how do we ensure we're welcoming folks into the workforce? We're offering culturally competent training, that we are meeting the needs of mentorship and supportive services while folks are in training and even beyond, so that everyone can be successful.
What are some projects either ongoing or in the pipeline that are helping you get closer to this goal? I know you mentioned there were some workforce goals for the Baird Center. I think the Northwestern Mutual North office is surpassing their goals as well. What are some of those big vertical projects that are kind of getting you excited to accomplish this?
Well, I think you mentioned some very important ones for the skyline of Milwaukee, but also thinking about the Sixth Street redevelopment. When we think about the FBC Live Center, I mean, there's a combination of what may be considered smaller construction projects, but in reality will increase community flow and transportation that will lead to even more projects that I can't even predict at this point. However, I think what's really important is when we think about these projects, do they have community benefits agreements attached with the project? Do they have those residency requirements attached to the project, so that we have a common understanding of the goals we're trying to reach? Some of the things in the workforce hub collaboration is that the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee Water Works will require that 10% of all labor hours within each craft go to apprentices, half of whom must be graduates of WRTP Big Step. So it's another way to think about how we let projects, what those bids look like, and what are the requirements that employers can also get behind. Contractors can also say it is important to have a safe, skilled, and diverse workforce, and we want to ensure that we have this diverse workforce, because when studies show when we have a diverse workforce and different perspectives, safety increases, the bottom line increases, so you have more revenue, and people rate their workplaces with greater satisfaction. And so we're also trying to build that community, our construction community, in a way that is a bit innovative in the sense of we're working through multiple channels to ensure that these projects have these not only the requirements, but it's something everyone wants to see accomplished, right? It's not a have to, it's a I want to, because it's vitally important for the fabric of our community.
Lindsay, I want to pivot the conversation a bit and ask about you specifically for our listeners to get a chance to know you and know who to reach out to when they want to help accomplish these big workforce goals for these big projects that are going on. What was your professional and educational background like before you became the executive director at WRTP Big Step?
Yeah, so I come from a trades family. My father went to Vietnam at 17, and when he returned, he used his GI Bill to go to a technical college, and was a welder by trade. And my mother was a kindergarten teacher for 40 years. She was the union steward for the teachers union, and really that instilled in me a lifelong value of what it means to have a job with integrity, a career with integrity, and that everyone deserves access to that. And so I see that really as my mission, and my calling, but also my mandate that I experienced that economic mobility because of the union opportunities that I had in my family, and I want to ensure everyone has that access. So it led me actually into a graduate degree in public policy. I'm very interested in how our policies affect real people and real communities, and what we can do to ensure that our policymaking experiences reflect the good we want them to have, and reduce the number of unintended consequences. And then from there, I worked with United Way of America, talking about social return on investment. When you make an investment, such as a building, such as a project, not only do you want to make sure it returns revenue for your shareholders and so that you can pay your workers, but you also want to return that social capital back, making buildings accessible, making our everything we build and do improve the skyline, improve the community, right? Leave it better than you found it. And so did that for several years, and actually worked at Marquette as well in their engineering co-op programming. And then when the position at WRTP Big Step became available, it felt right. It felt like coming home. And as you can probably hear from my story, it is embedded in the fabric of my family, and it is embedded in what I want to see in the world, which is I want to see the good in the world and use all of our talents to improve the lives of folks who live here in our communities.
I think you did a good job of answering half of this next question, and it sounds like this is something that runs deep in your family background and in your personal goals as well. But I want to ask, why is it important for you to do this work, and how do the people you interact with respond to it?
I can't imagine not having a WRTP Big Step in Milwaukee, let alone in Wisconsin. I often say this model doesn't exist anywhere but here. It exists in small fractional pieces in certain cities across the United States, but this is something really special. It is a conduit for folks into the trades, and one that is supportive and culturally competent. And something that I'm really proud of is that the folks we interact with out in the community, I can't tell you how many times I've been at a meeting or at something and somebody said, well, I'm a Big Step graduate. And they're doing such amazing things with their lives right now. And they're taking that opportunity, and it's almost like compounding interest over time. They have incredible families and careers, and it's humbling to think that this organization has provided that opportunity. One of our best referral sources is family and friends. Somebody said, hey, if I could do it, I know my brother, my sister, my mom, my cousin can do it too. And so I brought them along. And so I think what we hear from the community is this is a valued entity, both for our contractors, for our public officials, and for the residents who live here. I also hear, from our staff. They're incredibly professional, dedicated workforce professionals. They are out there at every event, every career fair. They are, I'm proud to say, we even have a very dedicated process that we follow that is inclusive. Our staff is incredibly diverse, coming from all different backgrounds. We speak 9 languages here at WRTP Big Step. We have a variety of different backgrounds, education. Some of us have been justice impacted. It's a wide array. And what's so important about that is we are the community. We are the folks who either come from the trades or from a community-based organization or educational institution that have said, this is really a priority and I want to be part of this model. So, we are the people we serve, and that's vitally important as well.
We brushed on this a little earlier, but WRTP isn't just in Milwaukee, but you have offices in Madison and Racine as well. How are those doing, and do you have plans to keep expanding throughout the state of Wisconsin?
So our established offices in Madison and Racine are very busy and are experiencing growth, much like our Milwaukee operations as well. The Microsoft project that is happening in the Racine-Kenosha area, we are the dedicated workforce development provider for that project. So we are part of the national maintenance agreement that the owner, Microsoft, has agreed to with the construction managers there. It has been a really incredible experience to be part of that, working with Racine Unified School District, Kenosha Unified School District, with the community partners there. And really helping to ensure that project, that we know that everyone in that community will either work on that project over the next decade or will know somebody or be family members with somebody. So we want to make sure that, again, there's that integrity in that work, that every time for generations, right, 25, 30 years down the road, that every time somebody drives by, they go, we built that. We built that here in our community, and there's pride in it. In the Madison area, there is a lot of work going on as well. So a lot of focus on clean energy and green building. And we're also working with a new reentry office with the city and with the county to ensure that those who are justice impacted and involved are able to have not only opportunities while they're in care, but then once they are returning citizens, they're connected to a meaningful career right away. And then in terms of growth, we do expect our operations to grow across the state. We do have field representatives in northern Wisconsin, but working with our technical college partners, working with our workforce board partners, and working with our building trades partners, we know there is a lot of need across Wisconsin to ensure that we have that diverse, skilled, and safe workforce, particularly in union construction. And we know that this model has worked here in southern Wisconsin. We want to make sure that everyone has access to it. So while we don't have any specific plans, we know that as we have more conversations and we think more impactfully about what that pathway looks like to growth, it will most likely happen, particularly with continued federal investment in Wisconsin.
If people, potential partners, want to reach out to WRTP Big Step or to you, Lindsay, where should they go?
So the first stop is WRTP.org, which is our website. On there, you will find all of our staff as well as their contact information. It is broken down by region, but then also if they're a program coordinator or an outreach coordinator. We also have a career placement professional on there as well that we employ. So if you're an employer, we have a job order form on there. So if you are expecting that you're going to need some skilled apprentices, let us know through that online form so that we can get in contact with you and ensure that we have a customized solution. You'll also find a ton of information on there about residency preference program requirements and how you can access some of our RPP certified folks, as well as additional information on any upcoming projects or things we're working on in terms of customized trainings. There's a training calendar on there. We always welcome contractors, subcontractors to come in and speak with our cohorts so that they know about you and you know about them right from the get-go. And so you can see kind of the cadence in which we're doing that. We currently have 3 different types of training. So it's not just one static training. You can also find information about our highway construction skills trades training, our entry-level construction, our entry-level manufacturing, and then our entry-level manufacturing plus high school equivalency diplomas. So, and you can see when those start and end dates are, what the students are working on. And then you can also find some of the events we host. We host a lot of orientations, career fairs that we love for everyone, contractors, community partners to get involved in, because there is just a wealth of information on there and lots of videos and success stories and others. You can learn about some of our graduates, where they are now, some of our contractors who have invested in us and how we're providing some customized training solutions for them. And you can also learn about the history of WRTP Big Step in Milwaukee and what that means for our community here too.
Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks so much, Ethan.